And I call the member for Longman.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. The repeal of Labor's carbon tax demonstrates a new government on the front foot, a government which was elected with a clear and absolute mandate to liquidate the carbon tax. Mr. Deputy Speaker, the Australian people have spoken, and this government is determined to give swift, or should the need arise, resolute effect to their voice. For while the Labor Party seems set on playing some obstructionist political game or is otherwise bizarrely committed to hurting Australian families and businesses through higher electricity and gas prices, this coalition government will see this through. We will not stop until this toxic tax is disposed of. The reasons are simple, painfully simple. With the carbon tax, the Australian people have in equal parts been mugged and taken for mugs. Julia Gillard declared that there would be no carbon tax under a government she led. Later, her predecessor cum successor, Kevin Rudd, would proclaim that he had, quote, terminated the carbon tax. Another false utterance from the former Labor Prime Minister. And now we have the Leader of the Opposition on one hand saying that he indeed intends to, quote again, terminate the carbon tax. Yet at the same time, he proposes to oppose the government's repeal of legislation that would satisfy this very objective. Work that one out. Well, Mr. Deputy Speaker, Australians are tired of trying to work out or work through this unfathomable labyrinth of lies from those opposite. They are wary of the hubris and spin, while the reality of the carbon tax comes home to them every day. These families, these pensioners, retirees and small businesses have all seen their electricity and gas bills surge. That the carbon tax has been a chief contributing factor is beyond question. Right from October 2012, with the release of the first quarterly Consumer Price Index figures following its inception, we have felt it. These numbers revealed an immediate 15.3% rise in electricity prices, while the cost of household gas and miscellaneous fuel jumped by 14.2%. The hike in these quarterly bills was the largest we have ever seen. Mr. Deputy Speaker, my electorate of Longman lies about 45 minutes north of Brisbane, where the big employees are small business, retail, tourism and light industry. And in the 12 months prior to this year's federal election, business after business after business showed me the genuine face of fear. And in every instance, the carbon tax was central to the anguish. One shop owner in Burpengary told me of surrendering $1,300 a month in higher input costs associated with the carbon tax. Another key local manufacturer forecast a $30,000 rise in electricity prices directly attributable to the carbon tax. And a Caboolture-based refrigerant fruit and vegetable carrier had been belated by a substantial increase in refrigerant gas costs due directly to the carbon tax. If the 44th Australian Parliament does not stop Labor's carbon tax from running to schedule and being applied to heavy vehicle diesel fuel from July 1 next year, this great local enterprise will be beaten up once again. Mr. Deputy Speaker, what ultimately emerges is a flow-on of the cost of the carbon tax for transport and storage to groceries, and every family will be paying more at the checkout. Unsurprisingly, these conditions have fanned a crisis of confidence, which in turn has knocked the health of the economy even more. During the Rudd-Gillard-Rudd governments, Longman's unemployment rate more than doubled from 3.06% to 7.86%. The youth unemployment rate skyrocketed from 4.3% to 11.4%. New taxes, increasing taxes, don't create more jobs, Mr. Deputy Speaker. This is a tax that hurts jobs and pushes up the cost of living. There is a better way, a smarter way, a more successful way, and Mr Deputy Speaker, the coalition government is prepared to lead the way.